Earl of Pearl has got his bag of gadgets with him. He's wearing 2 gloves, 3 cues, wrap-around shades. He means business.
From South Wales,
Nigel Rees, the referee. It's a showdown against Che-Wei. Nick Halling, Steve Davis in commentary.
Earl Strickland is in the house. Strap the seatbelt on and hold on tight. We could be in for a bumpy ride. It is never dull when this man's around.
It's certainly not. Today he's seen 2 former world champions survive and a couple of world champions, certainly from the European perspective, bomb out of the tournament. Sad to see Thurston Homan go out, and of course Mika, who didn't have a good game. It's a tough game when things aren't going perfectly right on a 9-ball table. Sometimes, Nick, you can make the game look very easy. Other days, different story. And Fu Che-Wei from Taipei, a very good win against an in-form Tom Storm, who looked much back to his best form. But it's tough at the top.
Yes, he had to withstand a late Storm rally there as well. He was 8-5 up and Storm came storming back, excuse the pun, and he had to show some composure to hang on there.
They're going to re-rack them here. Not re-rack, a re-lag. Because you must try and strike the ball at the same time. If a ball touches a cushion, a top cushion, before the other guy struck, he's considered to have had an advantage.
Well, Earl's won the lag.
Earl Strickland wins the lag.
Maybe that'll keep him quiet for 5 minutes. Thomas Hash was Strickland's victim.
Settle down, please. First drag. Race to 9.
One of the minnows that made it through to the last 64, who was probably swallowed up by this pool shark. Strickland is off and running.
And you'll notice straight away, Earl Strickland employing a much softer break than most of the players that have come to this table. He's decided that you don't have to hit the balls at all hard, certainly in this opening break. Bit upset with the way that the balls have ended up.
Thurston to death? I'm trying to shoot, he's moving. Okay.
I think this might be a rocky one, because he wants this to be like the centre court at Wimbledon, and it's not going to be like that. There are people moving around throughout this auditorium, and if Earl wants complete silence and stillness, he's not going to get it.
Thank you. Settle down, please.
Let me shoot.
Well, Fu just a little bit fidgety in his chair, but there again, Earl wasn't really anywhere near executing the shot, so perhaps a little bit of gamesmanship. But certainly when Earl is in the early stages of a match, when perhaps he's a bit uptight, this is when all of the histrionics come out. Once he gets into the game, and once he settles down in the game, he tends to forget about this. But every player has his own way of dealing with the nerves, and well, Earl's way is to moan.
Fu's going the overland route. Now, big applause, but where's that ball going to go? Wow, look at this. Wow.
Well, I'm not sure who the crowd are going to favour in this match.
It won't bother Strickland. I have some memories of Strickland playing some guy called Steve Davis in Cardiff, when the crowd was similarly 4-1 player, and he got through that one, didn't he?
Yes, but it does bother him. It upsets him no end if things aren't going right for him, and sometimes he doesn't deal with it very well. The one thing that gets Earl Strickland through on most occasions is he has absolutely superb talent. Make no mistake, he's one of the greatest shot makers in the game, one of the strongest competitors on the circuit. And even though there's going to be the similar sort of ilk of the McEnroes about the games he plays, he can produce the goods. Had to hit that into the pocket quite hard to come across the table to avoid being snookered on the 8-ball. Snookered by the 8-ball on the 3-ball. and is considered to be quite lucky to where it's come out.
He will sit still. I'll sort it out. Let me do this walking, okay? Be okay.
I just want him to sit still.
He will. I'll keep an eye on him.
It's quite ironic that Strickland is moaning about.
For everyone watching.
He's finished moaning. How ironic he's moaning about his opponent moving in the chair, because I had quite a long chat with Kevin Uzel of Wolverhampton, who'd drawn him in the same group, Earl Strickland, and Uzel said Strickland just wouldn't shut up between points. So he's not averse to a bit of gamesmanship himself, but when it goes the other way, suddenly it's contrary to the rules and spirit of the game.
Well, it doesn't matter what you say about Earl. He's good value for money, isn't he? I mean, we at the start of the tournament, we were asked to put down the names on a sort of like a questionnaire of our favourite players, and well, he's one of my favourite players because there's never a dull moment. Obviously, I don't have to live with him on the 9-ball circuit on a yearly basis. Perhaps that makes it a little easier to take. Well, so far, Fu has produced some very good shots. He's just come up a bit short there. Would have been fortunate to have got out lucky, but still some work to do to get from the 1-ball to the 2-ball, to the 3-ball, sorry, the next ball on the table. Got to make sure he doesn't finish on the other side of the table with this one. Erring on the side of caution there, didn't want to go too far across the table. And this is a tester, an early tester for Earl Strickland.
As you say, Steve, you can say anything you like about Strickland and you probably won't get much of an argument, but the one thing you have to acknowledge is the man's huge talent.
And if you get a chance, and somewhere down the line I'm sure we will do, when you see perhaps a shot directly down the throat of Earl Strickland, when you're looking right into his eyes, you'll see that actually neither of his eyes is actually on the line of the cue. He's outside, cueing outside the line of his right eye. Quite an amazing cue action. I know he's got the yellow sunglasses on, which caused him to play a wrong shot the other day. Couldn't even see the yellow was on the table. That's what they do, they polarise the certain colours you're wearing. But he's got 2 gloves and a pair of sunglasses. He could easily be driving an MG on a summer's day down a country road.
Oh, has he put enough on that? I don't think he has.
Well, he had looked like to have choices of cutting into either pocket there and violently overcut that one, but not absolutely certain that Fu can pop this 6 and get back into good position on the 7, but it's a chance he didn't think he'd have. You won't see a better shot than that. Didn't look like there was much of an angle there to be doing that and working the ball around the table, but you can usually create an angle on these very big pockets. Bit of an unknown quantity to us, isn't he, Fu, really?
Yeah, very much so. I was just thinking that, Steve. We know about the Type A big guns. There's been 2 or 3 guys that we don't know so much about that have really caught the eye once we've reached the round of 64.
Certainly doesn't look to be intimidated by Earl Strickland, and does look the part to be. I must be honest, he looks like he's got his, his eyes on the job, so to speak. He looks focused.
Well, he's got the first rack as well. Sporting applause from Strickland. Long, long way to go, and I don't think we've heard the last of Earl.
Did everything right in this rack until missing that 6-ball. Of course, that's the big difference between the game of 9-ball pool and the game that I majored in, I suppose. One game is about accruing points on the table and getting a lead. The other is about only one ball at a time, and especially that 9 ball. Doesn't matter how many good shots you play, if you don't score points for them,
Rack 2.
one bad shot can cost you severely. So let's see what type of break Fu puts on the balls after spotting Strickland's slower break, softer break. What type of shot will Fu employ?
Wing ball down, but that cue ball's going a little bit north, and he would have liked that one to stay up. I don't think he's got too many major worries there, has he?
Well, I'd like to say that he hit those harder, but it could have been one of his soft breaks. He made. You never know. The combination shot coming up next for Fu, and he's got to be careful and make sure that he can actually get a shot at this 2 ball after knocking the 5 in. That's a bit on the edge. It certainly is difficult to get back out onto the next ball, which in this particular instance is the green 6 that's down by his left arm here. May just have enough room to spin the cue ball around. David Al-Qaedi, who was so close to winning and getting through, the Spaniard there, lost 9-8 in his round today. But a lot of the pool players staying on to watch how this tournament unfolds.
You could hardly move in here for pool players, Steve, when Reyes was at the table earlier today. Everybody wanted a piece of that. Now then, big shot. Oh,
big shot. And a great shot. He did seem to strike that very, very authoritatively. Gets down quite a long way for a pool player. Not many of them get their chin and get so low on the shot. More like a snooker action. Not saying that all the players don't, but occasionally you see some of them not getting so low, getting the cue so parallel. Got to be honest, to me he looks like he's got a very solid sound technique.
I wonder if there's a bit of gamesmanship with him as well, Steve, just going back to how this match started. I mean, you never know the truth of it when you've got Strickland involved, but, you know, he was late with the lag, got Strickland going, and then he was fidgeting in his chair, according to Earl, so maybe he's got some mind games going. He's certainly got this crowd going.
Well, there was absolutely no response from Fu when Strickland was causing all those problems in the first rack. Obviously, it helps if you don't understand what the other guy's saying. But he's just the type of player that could actually upset Earl Strickland. No emotion, taking no notice of him as a person, and just getting on with his own job. That's the best way to play any game as it is.
It's been a bad day for world champions here so far. He'll know that. Oliver Ortmann gone. The defending champion, Torsten Homan, gone, demolished 9-1 by Kang. And not the only ones either.
Mika had a bad match really from 4-0 in front. The wheel fell off, and it can do. We know what it feels like. Just because you happen to be 4 racks to 0 up in a race to 9 at 9 ball doesn't really count for a great deal. That 9 nearly went in the pocket. That 9 got kicked everywhere, and this break is devastating at the moment from Fu. Although, has he got a shot through to the 2? Keep your eye on the 2 ball. Has he got the 2-9 combination? Look at the athleticism in that. This guy's a bit of a beast, I can tell you. Look at that face. He's really up for it. I'm talking about Nigel, of course, the referee.
There goes the 9. It's not going to quite go.
Has he got the 2-9 combination? Or perhaps he doesn't play it. Perhaps he plays the 2 ball in the other corner pocket and the 9 at the same time.
That's what he's gone for. This young man is flying. He really is.
Well, don't say that Earl Strickland's not a sport, because he's clapping every shot. That's a monster break. Makes the game a lot easier if you knock a few balls off the table. Could we be seeing the start of another world champion in the making here?
Could we be seeing the demise of our 4th world champion of the day?
As has happened in this tournament in the past, Nick, at one stage you say you can't pick a winner. You can't see where the winner's going to come from because everybody seems to be playing roughly the same standard. From out of the pack, somebody starts to raise their game and starts to look like a champion. It's obviously not easy to do it. With hindsight, you say, oh, Homan looked in great shape, and when Mika Immonen won it, it was obvious. When you look back, a bit like when you're watching the racing channel, when you look at time form afterwards, you go, oh, well, of course, look at the rating on that. Why didn't I pick that?
But that's the shock today, Steve, isn't it? Because both Homan and Immonen have been in terrific form this year.
Yeah, well, they looked in good form during the tournament, but it only takes one bad performance and you're on your way home.
One moment of inspiration from your opponent. Here's a guy that's feeding on being the star turn. 3-0 he leads.
Oh, that's a superb break he's got going there. I mean, he's making balls off the break, and the cue ball's in excellent shape. That particular shot, he played the cue ball, what's called, notice it's called the cut break, where you cut the cue ball to the side cushion. I don't know whether he actually intended that. Got a bit of spin on the ball, but by playing the cut break and sending the cue ball to the side cushion before the middle pocket, sometimes you take out the equation scratching into the middle pocket. And that was a shot that Efren Reyes, when he won the World Championship down in Cardiff a number of years back, employed so well. But look how easy he's making this seam at the moment. And a very solid, sound cue action, striking the balls positively. At the moment, it's all foo. And you must wonder to some degree whether the talking that Earl Strickland got involved in the first rack meant that he had his mind completely on the job when he was clearing the rest of those colours. Killed the cue ball somewhat there. He meant to come out into the middle of the table more.
Well, Strickland has certainly, let's just take another look at that shot. Strickland has certainly paid the price for missing that 6, that undercut. He's not been back at the table since. And Fu, up until that last one, had hit every shot just about perfect.
He's not out of position as you would be possibly on a larger table. This ball cuts into the left-hand corner or the right-hand corner, whichever he fancies. And strangely enough, the right-hand cut could be the right shot. I've got to be honest, I mean, plenty of people watching at home will realise how much in control this guy is at the moment. He's got a very soft grip on the back arm there. But he's controlling the ball superbly well. Doesn't seem to be showing any signs of being overawed. And obviously relishing this tournament being in his home country.
Strickland can barely believe what's happening to him there. He is rooted in his chair as Fu puts on a clinic. He leads it 4-0 in this race to 9.
Just update you on what's happening out and about the World Pool Championship. He is the only Englishman left in the tournament. Imran Majid from Hounslow, just down the road from where we are at Sky Sports. 4-3, he leads Satoshi Kawabata. And Dave Knight, Pro Pool player, you know Imran very, very well, don't you? And this is good stuff from him so far.
It's a great match there, really. It's a tough one. He's beaten him before.
Let's just show you what's happening out and about. Shamat Torsten Schober, that's in the last 16. Also, Johnny Archer going through. He's up against Nicholas Bergendorf, the man we saw so impressive against Mika Immonen earlier on. Dennis Akolo also through. Let's head back to the main table and join our commentators.
We were expecting the Earl Strickland show. We're getting
Rack 5.
a good look
Che-Wei to break.
at Mr.
leading
Fu
4 racks to
instead.
0.
Earl came in and talked a good game. But since then, since missing that 6 in the first rack, Fu has come in and played a good game. That's the difference.
Settle down.
Another monster there. He employed the cut break once again, although it was kicked away from the side cushion.
And he's got a real problem, hasn't he? Because that blue is totally obscured. Well, he's not going to dominate this one. At least Strickland will be getting out of his chair for the first time since the first rack.
He may be, but he
Push
may
out
be
called.
just going to the table to have a look at the situation to put Fu back in. So just gently nudging the ball across the table. After the break-off, who's ever shot it is next, whether it be the opposing player coming to the table or the player who's made a ball.
Thank you.
If he doesn't like the situation, can play a push-out. Earl doesn't bother to get out of his chair. Looking down at
Settle down.
something on the floor that he's seen. I think he's decided to not look.
He's looking for his cue, Steve. It's so long since he actually had to use it.
There's not a pretty sight, is it, really? I think probably Nike would be quite happy. Although it could be something out of, oh, I hooked it slightly left into the water rather than... He's not happy. It's only 4-0. I mean, we saw Bergendorf get back from 4-0. But he can talk himself out of matches as well as talking himself into winning matches.
Well, if he's decided that the world's against him here and he feels sorry for himself, he'll be in trouble. I mean, you never know what's going on Planet Strickland, but I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's a bit of reverse psychology going on here.
I'm not too sure it'll work on this guy.
All right, what's he got?
I think he's got a good shot. Well, marvellous shot there. How he managed to thread his way around the back of there. It doesn't look like Strickland can get through. Certainly can't from there. Although a relatively easy escape, but he's got to try and make the ball safe at the same time. And playing the jump shot, he may be trying to pop this. Great shot from Strickland. What a marvellous shot maker he is, and even though he's not made good position on the 3 ball, he's got a very obvious roll up behind the 5. Just play gently behind the 5. He's got to draw, he's got to make the ball go to the cushion. Oh, he could putt it. Didn't think that went past the 6 ball. Big applause on an outside table. You can assume that somebody from Taiwan's at least won a rack.
Well, Chow Fong Pang is out there somewhere. And Earl Strickland is just sending out a little message that this one ain't over yet.
He's digging deep here. And making what could have been a worse situation into something that could turn to be optimistic. It's in his hands, really, how he does and how he goes about this. But this is an excellent clearance of the balls under severe pressure. It just shows the quality of the cueing and also the competitiveness of this guy. He's got everything. He's got a bit of everything, this man. Great cueing there. And the crowd appreciating that.
Well, as you said, Steve, this man can play. Fu knows it now. Strickland made that clean-up look very easy indeed. He's on the board. we've seen lots of fortunes ebb and flow here on day 6 in Taipei. Just because somebody loses the first 4 racks doesn't mean they're dead in the water, as this man is now going to be anxious to prove. He's got his first rack, and he'll break and hope that he can pick up his second. What's he got on the floor there? Has he got a coaching manual or something he's just checking up on?
I think he's just trying to get a bit
Rack
of
6, Earl Strickland to break.
inspiration
One
from
rack to
within
4.
somehow. Will he continue with the soft break? Yes, he will. But he's not getting great position on that one ball. Well, it's gone on. It's gone down. It looked like he was going to the middle of the table there.
The 2 just came along and said, in you go.
There you go in, and I'll stand over the pocket for you. But there is a slight problem, in as much as the 2 ball is the other end of the table from the 3, and it is not certain whether he can manufacture the correct angles to get around the table. Perhaps play a similar shot to the one that Fu played. Well, that was a clever shot there, really. He doesn't need to get perfect position on this 3 ball, and in cutting this 3 ball, he's going to be naturally coming down the table for the 4. Very intelligent shot there from Strickland. A lot of players would have tried to get closer to that 3. He doesn't want to be close to this 4.
Yeah, that's not looking good, is it?
He's just about... Well, he's on the edge there with that one. That's a horrible shot. If you're going to play this shot now with a rest, he's got to quickly get his cue out of the way. After playing the shot, the cue ball's going to come off the table, off the cushion, and he's got to avoid colliding with his tip again as it comes back. Not a good outcome.
At one point, I thought he was going to be actually full on there, Steve, and just running for cover.
He's got a chance to play this left-handed. He's got to be very quick getting the cue out of the way. He's just about come off the cushion far enough to make the 5. Very easy to snatch at those and not complete the shot and not get enough power on the ball. Well, what a difference a couple of racks make if they go the right way. And this is all of Earl Strickland's making. And look at the quality of that stroke. Fu hasn't played a bad shot. You remember, he put him in a safety, and it was Strickland who got himself out of the hole. 4-2 now with Strickland to break. We know he's going to make one from the break. He's got the break off right. This game is now very, very close.
Indeed it is. No histrionics from Earl Strickland. Strictly business when you fall 4 racks adrift to a man with local support behind him. But Earl is in the zone now. So 4-2 to Fu over Earl Strickland, who continues to stay very much in his own little world out there, having raged at just about everything during the lag. He's obviously had a little chat with his inner selves and decided this is the way to go from here on in.
Rack 7, Earl Strickland to break, trailing 2 racks to 4.
I would suggest that he's a more dangerous animal in this mental state than he was at the start of the match. He seems to have, got into his shell somewhat. But it's not so much that he's done that. I mean, certain people, if they go into their shell, they don't perform. But I think he's just sort of given himself a mental slap. Said, OK, let's concentrate. And he's now concentrating 100%. He's got to concentrate with this shot, because this is not easy to get position on the 2, unless, of course, he decides to play a combination after this 1. Not easy to see what's going on with this shot. So it looks very much like the slow roll 2-7 combination, leaving the blue 2 over the pocket. Striking the balls perfectly at the moment. This is turning into an excellent match.
There's no power coming from him. It's all very precise stuff, isn't it? His break-off is very controlled, and he's getting a super spread of balls.
Doesn't seem to be happy with that. Not too sure why. Doesn't usually spend too much time working out the shots. He has a very quick brain for working out the positional side of the game. Really see the problem with this shot, other than the fact perhaps he's got alternatives. Perhaps playing with inside English to come around the table for the 3 into one of the bottom pockets. And this will go nicely into the top right on our screen, around the back of the 9.
Steve, since he's got to the table, his positional sense with this cue ball has just been icily effective. He's just not been out of position. There's nothing he can do about it now. It's his turn to sit and watch. It can be a horrible game, this, can't it? Fu, all he did was play a snooker. Since then, Earl Strickland has just wiped the floor with him, and he's pulled it to within 3. Fascinating match, this one.
English weather, this is your last warning. Stop now, or we will destroy you. Let's fly!
Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, now showing on Sky Box Office.
Earl the Pearl Strickland fighting back against Che-Wei of Taipei.
One of the few players in the game to have won the World 9-ball championships more than once. And he's even softened up on the break even more. And the reason he did that was to make sure that 1 ball didn't go to the top rail. How clever a shot was that? Now he's got position on the 1 ball. Work to do 1 to 2. Not an easy positional shot. Many balls in the way. And the route around the table, all important with this shot. How will Earl Strickland go about obtaining good position on the 2 ball?
It's amazing the breaking contrast, isn't it? This fella puts absolutely everything behind it, and Earl just almost reluctantly pulls the trigger. But the net result is every bit as effective.
The 2 ball under the stomach of Earl Strickland. This could go wrong. A very clever shot. If he played it exactly like that, what a class shot that was. No real benefit of being any straighter. He's still got balls in the way of the position on the 3 ball, so perhaps coming out into the middle of the table is the best place to play position for this 3 ball. The blue spot on a snooker table would be ideal position if you could possibly get there. He's a bit short of pace here. Just made it.
Oof. Staggered over, didn't it? Only just.
And now this rack has opened up quite nicely across the face of the 4.
Sound like 3 dead seals.
3 people clapped. He said it sounds like 3 dead seals, and now he's talking again, moaning that they're not applauding his shots. They don't appreciate me. That's what they don't. Just don't appreciate me.
None of us do, Earl. None of us do.
We're all unappreciated, let's face it. I mean, Nick, no, when was the last time somebody appreciated you? Long time ago.
Long time ago.
Exactly.
Well, if he is taking this smouldering resentment and fueling his own fire here, it's certainly working.
What's that saying? Nobody hates me, nobody loves me. It's worm eating, isn't it?
That's right.
It's the last part of the equation. Perhaps somewhere in on mainland China. They probably sell some he could go and buy.
Maybe he's a Millwall fan, Steve. Nobody likes us, we don't care. What's he on about? Well, nobody likes him, maybe. He doesn't care. He's dead level.
So Fu's had to sit still for a number of frames. It's nothing of his doing. It's just excellent control of the balls from Earl Strickland. He really is stroking them beautifully. I think just distracted a fraction by photographers behind our main cameras, just moving a little bit more than he would have liked. He really is, I think he's in a good frame of mind now. I know he's having a little moan up to himself, and I do agree with you that the sort of mentality of everybody's against me, it can work to his advantage. But I mean, he's showing grit and determination here, where on occasions he's been
Earl Strickland to break. 4-4.
ruffled, let it completely affect his game. Once again, a very soft break. He knows this wing ball goes in. He's been complaining about the ease at which the match table breaks and asking for perhaps a break box where you can't break from the side, but he's certainly now worked out the right speed of the break. And if he wins the World Championship with that break off, will he complain then?
Well, he might complain that one ball went down there, because he would have liked that to stay up.
Yes, he was very unfortunate there that the 7 came round the table, because now he has no shot, apparently no shot on the 2. There is the possibility of playing the 2-3 combination, but I don't think really that does any good for him. So it's time for a safety. And wait a minute. Marvellous, isn't it?
Yes.
I think he's marvellous, don't you?
Well,
Settle down, please.
the story goes that's just clear. It's not magnified at all. It's not like glasses. It's just there for show.
I think that in the past they've been there to cut down glare from the overhead lighting that is perhaps different from most of the year's tournaments. Great control once again. And now, Fu. It's been a long time since you've been to the table.
And you're faced with that when you get back.
Fu would dearly love to get this safe. See, better than that would be to knock it in, but there's absolutely no way you can guarantee knocking a ball like this in. I mean, he's going to try and come off the side cushion and hopefully knock the 2 into the middle pocket, the centre pocket, but you can't really get that right. You can get close to it if you have good judgment, but it may be in his interest to perhaps try and hit it harder, hit the near side of the blue 2, and perhaps somehow stun the cue ball back behind all the cluster of these balls. But he's going to have to hit it hard to do that, to get enough stun on the cue ball. What happens is the cue ball hits the cushion, and for a certain amount of time after it comes off the cushion, it's not rolling, it's just sort of skidding, and then you can get the stun effect. And he tried to stun it, but he hit too much.
Is he going to fluke it? Oh! Well, that'll convince Earl that the world is indeed against him. There's no way this was planned. You see Earl muttering as that one went down.
Important shots, very important shots those can be. Played a very delicate shot there, did Fu. Very, very good positional play. This has been an excellent match so far. The standard of play so far in this match as high as we have seen venture all of the tournament.
Yes, it's funny how we seem to get the best late. I mean, it was 2 a.m. when that wonderful Yang Manalo match finished last night, and those that stayed were not going to leave until that one was finished. It was a real classic, and this one's boiling up the same way.
Would have liked to have been a fraction more into the middle of the table. No real problems for Fu. Taking his time. Big shot. He's saying it's a big shot as well.
Took it very well indeed. Fu's back in front, but he owes one to the gods of pool because they smiled on him then. And sometimes the gods smile on you, but then they frown on you again. So Fu doesn't want to be going to this well one too often. That's the lucky break. After that, plain sailing. Pretty much a full house here. One or two seats towards the back of the court.
I'll pick a winner of this match. We've seen a couple of the established greats of the game struggle but get over the line today. Will Earl Strickland, with vast experience in the game, playing around the world,
5 racks to 4.
get over the line? Or will this man upset the world of Paul and Earl? There's been a lot of Asian players through today, featuring very heavily in the latter stages of this tournament, as perhaps you would expect. Lost the cue ball somewhat there, but he's got away with it.
There's the difference in break, though, isn't it? Look at how many of those balls have gone north, as opposed to Strickland's, where hardly anything goes past those centre pockets.
The only problem with employing the softer break is if you don't spread the balls well enough and you get some problems positionally. One ball into this bottom right-hand corner. They are not wobbling at the moment for either player. They are both striking the ball so well. And this is another rack that looks a formality.
It's tough to see where the problem there is going to be, and Strickland knows it, so he's gone back into his own little zone.
He might have nodded off there.
It's funny, Strickland is very quiet. There have been matches where he's just talking constantly. Often no one's listening, but
well, you're not allowed to talk, obviously, while the other players at the table, so the only time you can talk is when you're at the table playing, should you want to.
Well, that doesn't stop him, Stevie. He mutters away to himself if he feels like it, doesn't he? Maybe he mutters rather than talks. Not at the moment, look at that. There's either a picture of concentration or rigor mortis has set in.
Went to one of those murder mysteries the other day where one of the actors was in that position, and that's when we all started trying to work out at what time the murder was committed. Very relevant to the plot here is that Fu is certainly holding things together very well critical moment when he escaped from that safety, fluked the blue two. How much of a moment in the match is that going to be? Not making a mistake, Fu. Looks very, very assured. What a fascinating match this is.
6-4. Strickland trailing, but seemingly unconcerned.
Well, judging by the body language of both players, perhaps you would think it would be wise to put your money on Fu. But don't take Earl Strickland lightly, even though he doesn't look happy in his chair when he gets to the table. The switch is turned on and he's on full power. But there's not a lot you can do at this game of 9-ball. It's a very cruel game when you're sitting in your chair. As many people have said to me, it's perhaps one of the few games in the world where you can do absolutely nothing wrong and lose.
Rack 11, Fu Che-Wei to break, leads 6 racks to 4.
Yes, this game is full of stories of guys who said, I lost the lag. That was it. Never got out of their chair.
My match with Rodolfo Luat, the best part about it was the lag. we lagged so well, I think it destroyed our confidence.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, Steve.
So you see at the bottom of your screen, for anybody who just happens to have switched on, the balls as they are on the table. 9 balls in a diamond. All of a sudden one goes down, it will be removed from the screen. And that's the order of the balls that's left. Now it goes 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. But the 1 is a problem for Fu. He's come up snookered. Somebody shouted out scratch there.
In an American voice as well.
It wasn't,
I'm not saying it was
wasn't
Earl.
It perhaps was... it can't be somebody who wants Earl to win, because apparently nobody likes Earl to win, surely.
Well, whoever it was, that's... we don't need to hear from him again.
So can Fu see enough of the right-hand side of this 1 ball to play the bank into the corner pocket?
If there's one fault, one problem that he's had in this match, and maybe I'm being a bit picky here, it's that his control of the cue ball off the break has not been ideal, Fu, and here's another example of it.
Well, I'd like to break like him, I know that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but of course when you hit the balls harder, that it is likely that the balls will collide with the cue ball and send it around the table more. But what he's done is he's made balls off the break all the time. Now, is he playing this bank? He's not certain to be positioned on the 3. Oh, he's missed it. There's the first mistake, and the 3's gone tight on the 9, which gives perhaps Earl half a problem. The 3-9 combination is not on. Earl will eventually look up and realise it's his go. Oh, there you go. Of course, he knew from the gasps in the crowd. And he's back to having a chat. But he's not left with the what looks like easiest position, but perhaps if he's got enough angle. Oh, and he's looking at the right-hand corner of his eye line. Fu's taken a drink of water. And
well, I think Fu is being a little bit mischievous here.
well, he's out. It's not really in Earl's eye line. It's sort of 90 degrees. I mean, unless those glasses see 360 degrees, I'm not too sure how he could have possibly have seen him do that. But
unless he's looking for it.
Yes, unless he's looking for it. Yes. Great shot there, though. What a good shot that was.
Yes, look at this. Look at the position he's got on the 3.
Be interesting to see if this went all the way, and in the last rack Fu just happened to move his little finger just as Earl was about to get down on the shot. There could be a fight. Superb control there from Strickland. It very much looks like he's got the break back.
Fu's not moving now, is he? This was a good time for Strickland to get back into it, because even though, as we've seen throughout the day, that racks come in bunches, when it's a race to 9 and you're 6-4 down, you really don't want your opponent getting any more. Strickland has steadied his ship. It's 6-5, and it's the American with break.
Earl Strickland, 6-5 down against Che-Wei Fu from Taipei. And, well, he's got a bag of goodies there. He's cleaning off his glasses. Got a few cues. He's going through all sorts of torture out there, but let's head to commentary. Nick Halling and Steve Davis.
The UK base players have slowly been coming up on the ranks of the European players.
Oh dear, well, we've got a crisis here. Strickland's glasses are broken. Oh, he's fixed them.
I wonder if he's got one of those sort of inserts that raise the lens up a little bit so that they don't drop down too high, so you're looking over the rims. A lot of people have problems with glasses playing the game. The soft break has the one ball stopped in time. He's not happy with that one.
Ooh, no, that's why. Look at that pink.
Hand on hip.
You might like the fact a couple of people clapped in the audience.
Push out called.
A scratch of the head. Where to push out. Blue 2 has remained in close contact with the 9. Cuts down the amount of pockets the blue 2 goes into. Probably only goes into a couple from that position. Got to be careful when the one ball so close to the cushion that you don't leave the guy a chance to hit cushion first and then knock the one ball in. So he's playing across to this side of the table to cut that shot out of the equation. And now, of course, Fu has the opportunity to put Earl Strickland back in or play the shot himself. Immediately, my first gut feeling is that he will let Earl Strickland play this shot again, because it doesn't seem to be at all guaranteed to play any type of good safety. Certainly, even going for the bank shot into the pocket that the cue ball's over, certainly wouldn't necessarily leave position on the 2 ball. So it'd be interesting to see what type of shot Strickland plays here.
Well, you're quite right, Steve. Fu wants nothing to do with this.
Perhaps Strickland will play this up and down the table, past the 4 and 9, relatively close to the cushion, then back up behind the 7. There's a possibility. Probably proved me wrong. And he certainly hasn't done that. This is a bit risky, pushing the one ball towards the pocket, and it looks like he's left a shot on.
There is a channel there.
I'm not saying my shot was at all right. Oh, no, it's okay.
No, there isn't. No, he's got away with it, yeah. Sometimes these angles can be deceptive, can't they, when you look at the overhead? Until you actually get the eye line, as Fu's doing here, you can't see what does and doesn't go.
Well, the one thing that became apparent to me very quickly on playing pool is that the surface area of the table is a lot smaller than would be on a snooker table, and the balls being, I think the balls are, let me get it right, I think they're 2 1/8 instead of 2 1/16. Doesn't sound a lot in diameter, but actually the balls are a lot bigger, so they take up more area of the table, so it's a lot easier to hide behind balls. Difficult to sort of hide completely behind a ball, but you can usually manufacture some type of snookering opportunity when there's lots of balls on the table. Doesn't want to collide with the 7.
No, he does not.
And the only thing that's really going to help him here is that the 2 is more or less impossible to get position on. Oh, well, that's out of order.
You can't talk to a player.
You can't talk to a player like that.
No, I don't care.
No, you can't talk
give
to
you
a
a
player
warning,
like
okay?
that.
Don't talk to him like that. It's part of the plan. Calm down, play the game. Well, I don't care. Calm down, play the game.
Well said, Nigel.
Yes, quite right, Nigel. You need
No, not at all.
both the referees on this top table, Michaela Tabb and Nigel Rees, have stepped in when they've had to. And they've kept out of it when they've had to. And as you say, Steve, that was quite right that Nigel Rees had to just jump in there. Now somebody somewhere is saying something. But Strickland just creates these situations for himself.
What a shot that was. Oh. She created an angle by potting the ball and spinning the ball after it and potted the ball. How good was that? Quite amazing. I mean, what type of personality, Nick, just sort of, what type of personality, what a great, honestly, that was, how good a shot, I can't believe how good a shot that was. What type of personality can have an argument and then control themselves the next moment? It's certainly not the type of personality that I am.
We don't need you and me in here, Steve, when Earl Strickland is on. We need a psychoanalyst. Because I think what's going on in this man's mind is probably more interesting than what's going on the table. He defies all the rules, doesn't he?
Well, in a game of control, certainly. If you were going to be a boxer, perhaps you'd need to whip yourself up into a state of aggression. Oh, what a shot that was.
But he played again.
Regardless of whose side the main part of the crowd are on, they had to applaud that shot. Any other person I remember on the snooker world who could be in that situation was Alex Higgins, of course, who 1 minute could be having a raging argument with the referee and the next minute knocking 100 break.
From other sports, the only ones that spring to mind as feeding off a crowd's hostility was John McEnroe was one. Chris Eubank, the super middleweight boxer, was another. They didn't mind being up against it, me on my own.
No, but Eubank didn't sort of, he wasn't the type of aggressive talker,
No,
really,
not
in
like
the
that,
same
but
way.
no,
He was respectful of the other opponent and the sport in general. Certainly respectful of his opponent within the rules of the boxing world. And this is a fantastic performance by Earl Strickland, regardless of any feelings you may have about the personality of this particular player. What a player, 6-all, he's really digging deep.
Well, if you've just joined us, good news. If you're an English pool fan, Imran Majid from Hounslow has beaten Satoshi Kawabata. This was the moment. He's going to be one of the few Europeans left in the top 16. Europeans have been tumbling. Earl, well, looks like he's having a nightmare at the moment, doesn't he? But deep in thought. He feels like the world's on top of him. But he's checking out everything. He's psyched up. What's he doing now? Who knows? Let's head back to commentary. Nick Hawling, Steve Davis.
Rack 13. Earl Strickland to break.
There's no
6-6.
question about that.
I have no views one way or the other. Who wins, I don't really mind, because obviously today I am completely sulking after losing yesterday. I don't mind if Earl goes out. I don't care what happens. But I want to see a good game of pool, and oh, I'll tell you what, that break-off's getting softer and softer, and the results are getting better and better. Earl Strickland has worked out you don't even have to hit the balls anything like firm. Look how these have spread. There was talk that really the game has been made too easy by being able to break from the side of the table, by being able to use any part of the headstring line to break from, and that there should be, like there is on the American tour, an area of the table in the middle called a break box, which are two lines drawn down the table from that centre line that the green 6 is on, and that you could only break from inside those two lines. And that made it a lot more difficult to make that wing balling. But all of a sudden, Earl Strickland is using this to full advantage.
Yes, that was, as you say, Steve, Earl was moaning about this, and he does have a point. There's been a notable shortage of dry breaks, certainly on this table. Everybody's getting on.
Obviously, the pockets are bigger than they would be if the cloth were worn out, because the cloth at the table, the pockets get a lot tighter when the cloth becomes rough and dirty. But on brand new cloth, under television lights, when there's no moisture in the cloth plays as slidey and as thin as possible. But lots of talk as to how they could make the game a little bit more difficult from the break-off perspective was either to make the pocket slightly tighter or incorporate the break-off, the break box. But even though Earl has complained, he's decided, he's worked out the best way to go about breaking them. And I think he's got it paced just right. For the first time in this match, Earl Strickland goes into the lead. He only needs 2 more racks, 2 more break-offs like that, and he's through to the next round.
Has he timed this to perfection? Interesting. Earl has just, I believe Earl just asked for a timeout of referee Nigel Rees, and there was a shake of the head. Well, what's going on? Is it for show? Is it part of some elaborate mind game? Who knows?
Well, I'm not too sure what happened there. I mean, if
Rack
you asked to go to the toilet,
Strickland to break,
and the
leading 7
referee
racks
says
to
no,
6.
and what happened? Do you have to get a bottle to the table?
Well,
I don't know what happens there.
If you've got to go, you've got to go. But he's got to stay. And pool players watch other pool players, and I'm sure a few people will be looking at this break of Strickland's.
Well, that, in my opinion, if the ball is breaking that easily and so well, that is the end of the hard break in this tournament. You won't see any player who's I'm not saying it's got anything about them. There's no point in trying to break hard and risk losing control of the cue ball if you can break the balls that softly and get results.
He seems to have this shot virtually every time as well, doesn't he?
Well, now he's worked out the pace. He knows full well that as long as he breaks the balls a certain way, the one ball won't go into the middle pocket, and therefore it's going to come out off the side cushion. To start with, he was hitting them a little harder, and the one ball was travelling towards that top cushion, and then he didn't have such a nice shot, and he's just searching in his bag for what? Yeah.
Who knows? Bottle of water, maybe? No?
He's lost it, whatever it is.
Well, there's some of the tape he's not allowed to use anymore. That was our first controversy.
There it is. It's... Oh, it's one of those. It's, yeah, that's it. It's one of those. It's something to break the surface of the leather up on the end of the tip, and these leather tips that the pool players use can sometimes get slightly too polished, even though they're being chalked. And if you feel that you're not getting the grip on the ball, certainly if you're going to play a big screw back like this one with lots of side spin, you want all the grip in the world. So Earl Strickland just increased and roughed up the surface of the tip just a fraction, so he could perhaps get a bit more chalk purchase on the ball. Left-handed. I don't know how that works with the different gloves. I mean, one glove's a grippy glove, one's a slippy glove. I mean, you can't just change. Surely you have to change gloves.
Steve, this is Earl Strickland we're talking about. Who knows?
But if you've got one glove to stop the moisture and the other so you've got a grip on the cue, you can't just switch like that. I mean, you've got to take it off, turn it inside out, put it on the left hand, take the right-handed one up, turn it... I mean, it's making a mockery of the glove world. He's come a little bit awkwardly on this 4 ball. He's gone about a foot too far down the table for his liking, which means he's now got to cut this shot in, I would imagine, with lots and lots of right-hand spin to avoid cue ball going into the middle pocket, and played to perfection.
You know, Steve, since that 6 in the first rack, which he undercut, he's not missed a shot.
He's played superbly. He really has stroked the balls in. He's not happy with it, but I mean, there's no real problem for a... Hold it. Wait a minute. There's somebody up there. Fascinating the way he can keep control of the balls, although it looks like he's not in control of himself. Fu can't do a lot about this. He's being outplayed, but by only a fraction, because the standard of his play has been superb as well. There really hasn't been a mistake. It's a cruel way to go out of a tournament playing well. In some respects, you don't mind if you play badly. You've got only yourself to blame.
You know, not to dwell on your problem yesterday, you can't go out of here thinking I played really well. I mean, it was just one of those days, wasn't it? But as you say, Fu is sitting there thinking, well, what have I done wrong? And he's on the point of elimination now.
Great performance. What a great performance.
Earl Strickland and his demons are moving ever closer to a place in the last 16. He's on the hill in this race tonight, and he's put some daylight between himself and his opponent at a critical time. 8-6.
Johnny Archer, another former world champion, he got over the line against Canadian Luke Salvers today. If he's watching this, he'll be very interested in how his fellow compatriot is breaking these balls. Johnny Archer's got a superb break, but if he's at all watching, he's probably back in his hotel room now, watching on the television.
Rack 15.
Interesting break, Johnny.
Leading 8 racks to 6.
Well, one more break like that, Steve, and we can put this one to bed.
Well, I know it seems ridiculous, but look, he's over the line for me. I mean, you know where the one ball's going to, you know the blue twos, the wing ball's going to go in the pocket. You know the one's going to be softly going to the side cushion. Well, it's all over, unless.
Oh no, he's where's that?
Oh, he's upset. Well, the 6 ball comes down there. The crowd are loving that.
They want to applaud, don't they? And they're trying to mind their manners.
I think the crowd have done very well, really, and they are so enthusiastic over here, but they appreciate good pool. So there's the 2 going in, and that's the difference. On the match cloths, that 2 ball, even though it doesn't seem to be perfectly lined up for the combination into the corner pocket, just slides past the ball next to it and goes into the corner. On a thicker cloth with more friction on the table, that wing ball, as it's called, wouldn't go in. Now, what does Earl Strickland play? Does he try and manufacture a bit of spin on the ball to get behind the 6? Yes, he's overdone it though, but would he get a reserve safety? And he has, and that
brilliant
is perhaps the last shot that Fu's going to play, is to escape from this shot. He desperately needs to get out and get out safe. Good player. Has kept his composure. Haven't seen him dropping his head, have you? He's still remaining focused. He knows how quickly a 9-ball match can turn on its head. If he gets out of this and makes the 1 ball, who's to say he doesn't run the next couple of racks?
Well, that's the point, isn't it, Steve? He's within touching distance. If he can pinch this rack, he's almost there. There's no reason why Fu mentally has to say to himself, I'm out of this. He's at the table.
All you can do is play the right shot at the right time. Try your hardest. Somehow he's got to try and keep these balls apart and get a ball in between. I don't think he's playing anything other than to keep these balls contained here with this shot. We didn't want the cannon on the 9, and it's just separated from the 7 enough that Earl Strickland has the 1 into the centre with a little bit of work to do to get on the 3 ball. Perhaps Fu's last chance is that Strickland fails to get position on this 3. Should he do so, he's through to the next round, in my opinion.
Now, what's he going to get? That's
Superb,
looking good. That's looking
shot.
very good.
Took every risk out of the equation there. Can count himself unlucky that he's ended up tight on that cushion. The crowd there smiling at Earl. Look at him. The lads in the background there just laughing their heads off. Thinking what? Oh!
He's on the point of victory. He's had a wonderful comeback. He's played a near faultless game, but that's not enough for Earl Strickland.
Well, instead of cutting this in softly and coming around the table for the 3, he's now got to jack up in the air and perhaps spin it off 3 cushions. That's the only difference. He nearly overcut it. Span it off 3 cushions. The cue ball's going to have a bit more pace because he overcut it fractionally. A little bit thicker, and he would have been on that 4 into the same pocket. And he's moaning away to himself, but he's got an easy 4-8 combination. The only problem would be if the 4 went safe afterwards, but well, you've got to fancy him to make this. The 4 will go over the opposite pocket if he strikes it firmly. And there's the 4 going over there. And now you can see he fancies the job. Perhaps bringing the cue ball. I don't think he'll play the 5 into the middle. It's maybe be playing into the middle, but he can play it into one of the corner pockets as well. He has choices here. Oh, he has played into the middle. A lot easier than possibly I thought it was. 6 down the table. Just wobbled and he's bad. That's bad. It's the first positional mistake Earl Strickland has made in the 9 racks that he's been involved in. Certainly the 8 racks he's been involved with to a winning situation, and Earl's in bits on the table.
Down, please.
He's collapsed.
And Fu went
Perked up a bit,
up
didn't
in
he?
his chair like a jolt of electricity had just gone through it when he saw this, because the winning post is in sight for Strickland. 3 pots and he's done it.
I'm not too sure whether Earl Strickland played to get which side of the table Earl Strickland played for. Whether he played to get over to this right-hand side or to play short for the 6. There was no need to try and get over to the right-hand side. And not only has he got he's not playing a shot here, he's just playing a safety. Very thin on the 6, spin round behind the 9, hasn't got enough power on it, and actually it's short enough that Fu's got a chance to cut this in.
Well, goodness me. It looked all over, didn't it? It really did.
Just at the last moment.
Oh, what's the matter with Fu? Oh, he just wants
Chalk on the board.
yeah, the chalk. Needless to say, of course, Strickland is outraged that the cue ball is being cleaned.
No, I'm not too sure. Not too sure he was there. I don't know what he was on about. I don't think he was upset about that. You can't be upset about that. It's part of the game. Well, this looks missable, but I don't think he will miss it. It's a lot easier on a pool table than would be on another type of table. But oh, he has missed it, and the cue ball's going up and down the table, and what he's left. Roughly, Earl Strickland the same shot.
Well,
We're still going to win.
if Fu wanted to win this match, that was the shot he had to have.
We're going to win because I'm too old.
Earl Strickland's just said to Fu,
Settle
said,
down, please, then.
you're still going to win. You're going to win because I'm too old. That's the word he's come out with there, as if he doesn't fancy that he's able to win because he's too old. That's a bit of a worry. He's 46, the same age as me. Just about to hit that, and he's got up again. He's not happy. This is a harder shot, even though the 6 is fractionally closer to the pocket. But I've got a feeling this is one of the greatest shot makers in the game. You'll get this in.
Oh!
crowd applauding that.
And they
Oh,
should.
and the
They
cue
really
goes down.
should.
Well,
you can understand it. I know you can understand it, but you can't applaud a miss, Steve.
well, as long as you're not being disrespectful to the other person, you can.
Well, let's put it this way. They want him to win.
See the crowd moving across the line of the player's shot there.
Strickland doesn't win friends. Now, a second chance.
Mustn't scratch off this shot. It looks like half a scratch, but I'm sure he's just bouncing the cue ball off around. He's put a bit more on that than he needed. Oh, the crowd have come to life. They've had a long time remaining silent, and all of a sudden they see a bit. Oh, come in, Planet Mars.
Well, I think if you wanted to take one rack from this competition to explain the drama, the excitement of pool, this is the one.
There's always a crisis point in a match, and we've just seen it there. Will there be another one? Oh, his head's in his hands. He's let him off the hook. Can Fu now control the game?
The momentum has swung again, or has it? Strickland is still on the hill. Fu is still trailing, but he will break.
Both players had great chances in this frame. Earl Strickland really had the best of it. The 5-ball and losing position on the 6 caused the excitement in the frame. And both players had a chance at that 6-ball.
Now, Steve, will this guy, having watched the way Strickland has been breaking, will he change his break in mid-match, or will he stay with what he's got?
He'll stay with what he's got, I believe, because it's not easy to replicate the feeling of the other guy. The other guy's been breaking from the other side of the table, and he knows the weight of the shot. He knows he's breaking softer, but in some respects, he may not be able to feel the shot the same way as Earl. He's going to have to keep with his own game plan. He's going to wallop these.
Well, it's worked for him, hasn't it?
If he was going to play it soft, he'd play from the other side.
There goes the crash bang wallop. There goes the wing ball.
But not as good a result on the 1-ball. I'm not saying that in some respects you're right. You really should be learning from a player who's got the break off to perfection. But I didn't fancy him to change his breaking tactics.
Well, it would be awfully difficult at 7-8 in a match, in a race to 9, wouldn't it, to suddenly change everything?
I'll be astonished if some of the top players, after having seen this match, don't change their break-off strategy. So a safety, but it's got to be a good one. Can he somehow knock the 1-ball safe and just sort of flick the 6-ball and use that as a snookering ball? There is an element of risk in that shot. It would be lovely, wouldn't it, just to sort of line those 3 balls up on the cushion. But of course it could easily poke its nose out, that 1-ball. Can he go for it? It's a cut. That's what he tried to do, the line up, and he's not got it perfectly. The crowd are clapping. I certainly don't think from our overhead that looks on. He's not happy, he's shaking his head. Well, it looked like it. There was definitely an edge to see there, and there's not certain now from this position whether Earl Strickland can see an edge. And even if he can, does he want to hit that edge? There's a smile. Where's that come from?
Well, somebody with a degree in psychoanalysis, Steve. We've had all the emotions, haven't we, from Strickland, including the most extraordinary comment. He said he was going to lose because he's too old, and then promptly missed a shot.
Clever shot there, but he doesn't want to collide with the 8 and
He's got away with it.
Leave it still. Okay, he's immediately said jump cue. Earl Strickland's not particularly enamoured with players who use the jump cue. He feels it's cheating. That's a tough shot to jump. there's enough distance between the cue ball and the 6 ball that in jumping over to hit the 1 ball, the cue ball will have so much pace on it and be flying up in the air or down, bouncing, that chances are it would jump off the table after colliding with the 1. If that 6 ball was slightly closer, perhaps it would be possible to jump. The other problem with that from a jump perspective is using the shorter cue, how can you reach the shot?
And he hasn't yet gone for the shorter cue, has he?
No, I don't think it's a possibility. But a really wicked position for the 1 ball to be in, to try and escape off of this side cushion that he's looking at. And he's really up against it with this shot. The reason why this is such a tough shot, you can imagine if the 1 ball was on the opposite side cushion, on the top cushion, you know, the other side of the pocket, it would be nice to hit the far cushion, perhaps just nudge into the top rail and then flick the 1 ball in. Where it is a really awkward position. This is very missable. The chances of this coming out safe for Fu, I would say, are as little as 10%. The chances of him potting it, 5%, 1%. I mean, it's a really awkward shot. He would like, perhaps, to hit 2 rails here. Side cushion, top cushion, flick across the face of the 1 ball is his only chance. But if he starts hitting it very hard, he's going for the pot.
Oh!
Foul shot. Ball in hand.
He hit that as well as he could possibly have hit it without potting the 1 ball.
And that's missed by millimetres. And on such misses...
What a great try.
It really was, but on such misses, our challenges for the world title ended.
So Earl has what would be considered an easy run out for victory. Perhaps a little bit of work to do, getting from the 3 ball to the 5 ball to the 6 ball. Doubt it. If he just plants that cue ball in the middle of the table after potting the 3, he's in prime position. There's no problems really, is there? Even though it looked a difficult situation.
It's been a typical Earl Strickland match, hasn't it? Never dull, a little bit of everything.
He can just trundle through a fraction with his 3 ball. Just a fraction, trundling it through to leave himself as thick a contact on the 5 as he dare. Inside spin, left-hand spin round the back of the 9 and the 8, or draw across the table. Take that risk out of the equation. Doesn't want to be straight on this 6. It's a fraction straight. Now he's going to have to follow through with left English off of the 2 rails, side and bottom. That was superbly struck, superbly struck. He's talking in between shots. Yeah, well, there it is again, he says. He's come too straight on it. I still don't think he's going to mess this up. He is the greatest shot player I've ever seen.
Wow, look at that. He was this close once before, wasn't he, in the last rack?
If he played roughly the same shot, he would either collide with the 9 and knock it out of the way, or come into position on the 8 ball. Would he play the same shot? Yes, he has done. Perfect. And Earl Strickland has played a magnificent match, and he's through to the next round.
Now we talk. Thank you.
Love him or hate him, you have to admire him. Earl Strickland goes through to the last 16. As ever, controversy, conversation and discussion. But there's no question that this man, when his mind is on the game, is one of the best stroke players in the match, in the game. Got himself behind early, didn't panic, pulled himself together, got himself through. And Earl Strickland walks off this TV table and into the last 16.